Hey guys, my name is Seniac and welcome back to episode 2 of the brand new FoolsTown 2.0 in City Skylines 1. We're back with this as close to vanilla series as we can possibly get, where last episode we started with the basics of building our brand new town. You guys seem to love the first episode so much, we are back with a second. And if you want to see a third one, then make sure you smash the like button down below. Subscribe if you are new around here so you do get notified when more episodes do come out. Now, we had a pretty good start last episode. I did spend a little bit too much time on doing road structures because I'm kind of trying to think about the bigger picture, which I maybe need to think about the current picture right now and how we are going to progress. And this is what we did. We had the highway coming in, which was there already. We bought an extra tile, and then we've built this very, very simplistic structure. It all flows through, which is pretty nice. The flow is looking pretty good around here. And it's led us all the way up to having this 4-lane road which crosses over the highway. I'm not really happy with the way that it does it, but, you know, we can solve that. And we're going to end up creating a highway connection. So we have another alternative way to get in and out of the region, which is give us access to this area over here, which we are hopefully, in today's episode, going to move the industry to a more permanent location and give us a decent access to this train line, which we could then potentially have some imports coming in and out and exporting of all the localized goods and make business boom. We've got big plans for FoolsTown, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy the ride. So, what I think we do first then is we spend a couple of minutes just sorting out a highway connection. Now, I think I'm just going to keep it super simple and just do some very, very simplistic on and off ramps. I don't think I need to do anything too crazy just yet. I don't think we have too much need to have a decent capacity. We will see. So what we'll do, we'll try and utilize lane math, and we'll just kind of keep it simple with an on and off ramp, just connecting on and off, which it might cause some traffic issues in the future, but maybe we'll see. Hopefully we can make it flow pretty nice, but I can't see there being many issues anyway, and hopefully we can then continue to rock and a roll. So what I'll do first then is I'm going to end up kind of rejigging this whole area anyway, so I'm going to delete that back a bit, and I think that's fine to give us enough space. And what we'll do is, have we got highways unlocked? We do that. I would have panicked then if I didn't have highways unlocked. I'll come back a bit and we'll come from a 5, so a 5 space, and we'll just do a little sticky out bit there, and there is a 10, so that would be roughly a 5 there. We'll have to flip that around. Is that the same spacing? So there to there is a 5, there to there is a 6. No, that is not the same spacing. Boy, what are you playing at right now? Let me delete you. 5 there. That's now the same space. I'm going to do the same thing here. So that is a 4. So that is a 5. So we'll go there. And hopefully, is that right? Yes. Right, I've got my marker points, which I'm thinking this one might need to go back a little bit further, but we are in the bend, so it will get a little bit interesting. And let's see then. So we will now, I'll work with this one first and then bring it up. So I kind of want to bring it up to its level as early on as we can. I know these ramps look a little bit crazy, but we'll eventually utilize the move it tool and whatnot to kind of get everything all to the right angles and whatnot. So don't worry about how ridiculous it looks initially. I am very, very well aware it looks a little bit wild. Right, we'll go to there. And I want to try and keep this snapping. So it almost doesn't snap perfectly. So I might have to just kind of quickly delete you, just to move this over just a tad bit more, just to hopefully get rid of the node. I don't know if the node is still there at this point. Highway. Annoyingly, it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that and that. And then I'm just going to run through it and then go the opposite way. But apparently the opposite way doesn't want to work because of the highway. Well, let's not hope that I've now messed this up. Right, there we go. That should still do the job for us. It should still do the job, boys. And then we will drop this down to there, and off you go. Now, I know the road's facing the wrong way. I'm just trying to get my alignments first. So I reckon I've got a bit of space to work with here. I know that's... Let me just flip everything now around to the right side. And then that's going that way. That's all correct apart from that one. I'm going to give us a little bit of breathing space here. So I might come off now a slightly more interesting turn. And then lead in. And then do the same thing here with that. That kind of worked out really well. And then run you in. I'll use the move it tool just to slightly adjust us. And we're also going to implement some lane math as well. And hopefully that will be absolutely magic for us. Right, as of right now then, we have on and off ramps. They're not perfect, granted. They're not perfect. But we need to do some other sortings out. Now, do we have a slope mode on this? We do have a set slope where I could set the slope from there to there. And then we have a better gradient. We set the slope there to get a better gradient. Set it from there to there for a better gradient. And there to there. Right, slightly a little bit of a better gradient. We'll have to kind of make some of this stuff elevated and not elevated. I'll just slightly adjust now the on and off ramp. And that works. Right, now we need to sort out all the lane math stuff, which that in itself is a different task altogether. Now, I don't think I have the mod which allows me to turn stuff into bridges, which is unfortunate. I am missing a few, like, important mods. So if I'm missing any mods that you think will be really, really helpful, guys, let me know in the comment section down below. That would really, really, really help me. I don't quite know what I've got to do right now to make something elevated, because I don't have that ability right now, which is not the end of the world, because I can implement it next episode. But that's just how this system is going to work in general. I don't know whether I need to go a little bit further with these stuff, or whether we come back from there to there with the elevation. Do you know what? That actually looks a lot better if I kind of go a little bit more long term. There to there, and then there to there. Yeah, it looks a little bit more natural. And then hopefully next episode I'll have the mod that allows me to turn these into elevated. Nice. Right, let's sort out some lane math then. So because we are 3 lanes, all of a sudden we've got 1 lane that turns off. So we then need the highway here to be 2 lanes. That's pretty much how it's going to work. So if I run this all the way down, and then it's 2 lanes, and as 1 lane joins on, it goes back to then being 3 lanes. And then we'll use the lane connector, the lane management tool, to then be able to say, yo, let's just hard code this. You go that way, you go that way. And then we've got no problems. Everything is going to flow nice and easy for us. You'll be in your correct lane to reduce the amount of traffic. Now, as of right now, I don't know how busy this area is going to be. So I've got no kind of information to say, like, what capacity is needed here, there, and everywhere. So I think I'll just keep it on to a single road, traffic lights, and then we'll see what build-up happens, and then we'll adjust the area for it. Right, so now let's use this slope tool, which is really, really good, just to set our angles. And again, this will all become elevated in the next episode once I've got that beautiful mod. So we've now got a highway connection. It's very simple, it's very basic, but it should do the job for what I need it to do. That now means we have access to this area. So this 4-lane road could technically now just continue a little bit. And then we've got to figure out where it's ultimately going to be running to. Now, logic says that we should make it kind of come down and go this way and then eventually create another form of a highway connection. But I don't want them to turn off there to go through there to use it as a shortcut. I still want them to kind of utilize this in some way, but I'm assuming we'll have another connection over there at some point. So let's... Can I unlock another tile? I can. Right, I'm going to purchase this tile just to kind of set me up with an alignment of where we're going to run this next road. So let's just say we picked... That's all elevated there as well, which is probably my next issue. But it doesn't matter because we can have roads go here. That we can make roads bend and turn. Which actually, if I make this road bend and turn down and then turn in, it makes it a little bit longer than what it seems, thus not making it a shorter route. Okay, right, we're going to bring this down a little bit more. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. And then I'm going to maybe rely on one of the connecting tools. So if I created a connection, that's what they want to try and suggest, but I might make it a little bit longer. And then do something like that. And then implement you in. Ooh, I'm liking it. So this is where I want to build industry around these areas. So it gives me these little pockets that I now get to work with. It's quite exciting, this is, isn't it? This is quite exciting. So where do we go ahead and start building some industry? We could maybe start within this area, which then backs onto a nice little rail line, which would work out really well. Or I could build it within here and in here, have two big industrial areas. Not too big, but then that allows me to run this train line in. Nice. Okay, I'm liking this already. This is already making me quite excited. So... let's figure out then how this ultimately is going to work. Now, I could in theory use the parallel tool. Do we have the parallel tool? Or was that one of my broken mods? I can't quite remember. We kind of have a parallel ability here. So if I went there to there, I could push it plus or negative. Let me go there to there. I don't know what the correct way it would go would be. So if I went like negative, and it would need to be a negative 11, right? So how do I do negative then? So tab to switch creation side. Ah, there we go. So if I went for... oh, okay, it's not going to work out the way I think it is. So what I'll do is I will go to here, which that creates my 11. And then I'm going to use that parallel tool again. And let's just go to there, switch it. And what does an 11 work out to be? So how do I make it go bigger? Shift, that changes. No, we're going to have to kind of stick to the plus. So this helps me just create the parallel system, which will then allow me to work with creating a nicer kind of area, which should work out. So let me just get this all aligned correctly. So we're looking at a 88 to create the 11 away from the original road. And if I confirm that, I've now built it in. I can delete that. I have a glorious parallel road that works with this area. Oh, this is exciting. I like it. I feel like I'm creating like an industrial complex at this point once we get this all finalized. So let's now come away from everything all else. And let's now work with what we want to work with. So we know that's the E11 there. So that's your 10. And then we're going to push that up. So we're going to end up with creating a simple bend here. So that works out to... oh, not a 10 by 10, unfortunately. So that will work out to be a 10 by 10. And then that bend can then be pushed further up. And then we'll eventually meet up into the corner and bring it back. I'm trying to now do like an outskirt. So I'm going to keep it like... do I do 20 away or 15 away? I think 15 away is a pretty decent size here. I've done 10 away on that side, but it gives me a bit more breathing space. I either do 15 away, I can put buildings on the outskirts, or I do 10 away, and then the road is the outskirt. I think that's better, having the road as the outskirt. So we'll bring that down to there. We'll bring it as far as I feel comfortable, which is probably going to go now to there. And then we want to get these two kind of then to match up, basically. So if I went for a connection and went from there to there, What does it look like is the first question. What does it look like? That's fine. We'll bend that in. It's almost feeling like I'm building a racetrack right now, doesn't it? Now, do I go from here to here, or is there room for me to push a little bit further first? There's definitely room for me to push a little bit further before we commit to any more bends. So I reckon we go to there. And then we build our little connection. So let me reduce that. No, is it reduce or increase? There'll be a point in a minute where this makes sense. No, okay, right. We might need to go a little bit further down. So if I go by another 10 and then create it. Yes. I know I'm relying on these mods to create these nice little kind of routes, but they work out in the end. Right, that's actually not exactly how I want it to be. Shift, control. Ah, there we go. I needed the control. Control, 4 more control. Bam, place you in. I don't want to get too close to all that, but that's my radius area I now get to work with, so I get to create some pretty funky designs now feeding into this. So that's my radius. That's my circle to work with, an industrial area. This should be pretty exciting. So I think then what we might want to try and implement first then is the connections to the area. So if I just come off this, that will be, yeah, that works as a connection directly in. So I could lead into this, and then I can technically start by just creating some generic areas first. So I could go to there and then come off this and then go there. And then we've got a nice little bend. So I could bring this further up. And I can bring this further up. And then we've got to figure out where we want stuff to kind of like end, start, turn, twist. Because I want it to feel quite flowy. And it's not just like all gridded. Although it is quite a gridded area, I want it to kind of bend with the natural twists and turns. And I think this might complement it very well. So let's start on this side next and see if we can kind of make these almost run down to match some areas down here. So we could pick you as the connection in, and I could bring this out. And this is where we can have some real fun with all of this. So if I brought you down, that's a 10, which is going to connect to that 10 there. So that bends round. I'll bring you out, and then that's going to run up this way. So if I bring that to a 20-ish, or maybe up to a 30, that's going to bend into there. Now I can do these myself. I haven't got to do any shenanigans or use the connection tool. That all runs in. And I'm liking how this is already starting to feel like it's going to flow. So let's use the connection tools now then. Let's kind of get like... I like using them because it gives you like almost like a preview of what it's eventually going to look like. So if I go for the full shebang there, if I use the Alt just to kind of increase... Can't go any further than that. That's perfect for us. Have that flow through. So as far as we can... Reduce the size as much as we can just to find that perfect connection, which is there. Bam. So you get these little kind of wide openy sections, and that what kind of creates the character within this vicinity. I like it. This feeling very wavy right now. I'm feeling this area. I really am feeling this area. Okay, so there will be some gridded sections and formats. Oh, hold on. This is not going to plan here. Right, I may have made a boo-boo slightly in this area, which is fine. And I think it's mainly down to... Oh, I aligned it to the wrong thing, I think. I think I aligned it to the wrong thing. So run you down. There we go. And then we'll incorporate our bend here. Right, very nice, very nice. It means we've got then a straight run leading up. To which we're going to have some fun now with completing all of these connections. So let me just get rid of that, because I don't know where we're ultimately going to connect just yet. But I am thinking that we go from there to there. So let's first play around. Oh, what's happened there? Oh, have I pressed the wrong button? Damn. I may have pressed the wrong button there. So, plus, no, negative, no, plus. Keep it going. Right, it doesn't like that. Maybe we come a little bit closer. Yeah, and that will create a bend there, but we'll bring these further up. So I'm actually going to bring this up to a 15. And we'll bring that up to a 15. So we've got a couple of nice little ideas here. We might go for like the loop ski, create a curve or a loop. So if I went there to there, or do it there to there, that works better. Okay, that's smack banging. These ones are going to have to be a connection, unless I did a curve. Curves are great, but not perfect, so we'll do an actual connection, which ends up being like that, which I'm thinking of the flow of the roads more than anything. So we've got an entry point in there, we have an entry point in there, and now we just need to create the connecting roads to make it feel more of an industrialized area. So what we'll do then is we'll pick you and then connect you all the way down. Now it's starting to feel more industrialized, right? So we'll have that one in there. It's all for the flow of the roads. We will then pick one that is going to come through here. Now, I don't know whether to go diagonal. I don't know whether to go diagonal or kind of make them meet in the middle. I could go there to there and then stick out by 5. Which actually could run into here, which is not like a problem. And then maybe we change it up where this one, while it does kind of come in, there is like a slight little bend on it. We'll see. We'll see what this connection says here. So there to there. And then can I go for like a maximum bend? So it's a slight little wiggle just to kind of connect through. And then we've got all this area here to fill up as well. So we'll utilize bringing this out a little bit further. Or shall I bring it to about a 15? And then that's going to run into this connection. So I won't do that just yet. Won't commit to it just yet. That's going to be a 4 by 4. And then you run you in. So I'm thinking about how roads can kind of like twist and turn to lead out. I do want to keep some open spaces. Because as much of it is going to be an industrial area, you know, you kind of want to... I was going to say have some greenery, but that never really works. So I'm going to go down to there. I'm going to go to about there. And then we'll just have some fun now with these little turns, twists, and bends. And I reckon if I come up by a 5, we could do a bend there. If I can stick it out by 3, then that bend might work a bit better. And have you connect down like that. Right, that's as crazy as I want to go. Look at that for an industrial... It feels like a racetrack at this point, doesn't it? It really does. But that's hopefully also going to allow me to have maybe an additional connection here of some sorts. I could make it work into this. If I come up that by a 5, and then we bend that in slightly, it's a straight, clear snap-on. So we get 3 entry points. So... free flowing roads. This one you enter, it flows all the way around and whatnot. This one flows in and up. This one flows in and around. So you've got a couple of entry points and different flow states, which we are hoping it's going to work out really well. So what we'll do next then is we'll incorporate the pipe work. So I'm just going to follow the 4-lane road round. as that's where you would normally see the main water pipes running anyway. And then from this, we're just going to completely and utterly cover the area. So if I bring you to there, and let's just kind of hypothetically just connect you in. I'm just going to run this now, just to cover the area. I don't need any shenanigans. Just get it done. Just get it done. Very nice. So water covers it. Obviously, power's going to need to spread over. But this is me getting rid of this and then instead replacing it over here. It looks like such a nice area that I'm now going to ruin with pollution. That's kind of what it feels like. So can I reposition? I can reposition in this game. So I'm going to quickly pause. And, oh, actually, before I reposition, is it worth me actually looking at the different variants? So that does produce a bit more power. It is a little bit more expensive. But it does create less pollution due to advanced carbon texture technology. Now, I could drop one there, and then just build a road splitting through the middle, just for the fun of it. There we go. So, I could keep both of these, but I might now... What's my power situation like? I am producing more than I'm consuming, so I could get rid of these now. To be honest with you, we could get rid of all of this. Oh, I can't get rid of you because we've got to empty you. There is no more room. Right, so I've actually got to do garbage over here as well. So garbage, we can now kind of like go for recycling, which I could place some recycling plants just there. So if I did 1, 2, 3, 4... So we've got a little bit of a recycling facility within this little catchment area. And then we set up a bunch of zoning then. So we'll do it going around the outskirts first before meeting in the middle. So we'll get all this little area there covered. We'll do the rest of this little section. Bringing this all the way in as well. And we've got to think about this logically and smart because we need power to connect over. We are going to have to run power lines. But there we go. We'll start with this. Why does it have no zoning on this? Alright, any other roads experiencing that weird little issue? No, we're okay. Right. Now, because it's so bendy, windy, and turny, you're not going to get as much industry as you would assume you would. But we'll just start with this. Okay, we'll just simply start with all of this. This should be a pretty decent area to work with. Right, I like it. I like it quite a bit. Okay, so we need to dezone all of this as we no longer need it. Garbage will eventually move itself over once we've sorted that out. And of course, power needs to spread over as well. So if I just connect it up to the current network, which is actually going to be a little bit more difficult than I assumed. Right, there we go. And then just completely run this down out of the way. You wouldn't even know any difference at that point. Right, play mode. There we go. That will get rid of all of that, and the pollution will then slowly die down. And this new industrial area will be underway. Right, until then, I'm going to use my little angling tool again. And we're going to go from there down to there to set the slope mode. How's that look? Maybe we go from there to there. Or maybe we go from there to the actual junction. Yeah, that works out a bit better. We've done it here, haven't we? Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. So a lot more garbage trucks now going to cycle through the city. We've got some beautiful on and off ramps, which we will expect traffic to build up around this area. But this is looking fairly nice. Now, obviously we need the power to spread itself over. So I'll just do this for now. Just so it can. And we're making sure that our garbage areas have got what they need. We can empty this. Once it's empty, we can then delete it. And now we have a nice little industrial area. Right. So they're complaining about, what are they complaining about? Not enough educated workers. Yeah, we do need to add, I mean, we did add a school in, but, you know, that's since filled it all up. We need a high school right now, which is a pretty large size building anyway, which I want to keep this area slightly free for the moment, but I might incorporate this there. Nice, glorious high school just there before it all runs off in different directions. So that will create some more smarty pants, and then we should be okay. Right, now we are going to see a lot more vehicle traffic. This area will build up bigger than before, and it should work out in our favor. So we've got some more commercial demand. All this can eventually be gone, but I gotta wait for it to completely empty, so I'll delete that at a later date. Shall we look now at finalizing this little area? So I reckon we delete you, delete you, delete you. Do I continue that going, or should I get rid of that road now? I don't know whether to get rid of that road. Not too sure. I'm not too sure on that. Obviously, it's only an issue at this point. So do I make it like kind of like bend in? Do I make these roads go underneath? Because I'm thinking about isolating these areas in general now. It's probably the best way to go. Yeah, it's probably the best way to go. Let's maybe work with this area first. So if I come out by 30, come out by 30, come out by 30. Right, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So why don't we get rid of you, you, and you? And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one of these could maybe bend in, and the other ones can kind of then match themselves around. So if I come off that node there, and then just run you up by a... Let's just go for a 5 there. And let's just say I ran this down by another 20. Now, what could I do with connections? Because sometimes connections create better ideas than I could even ever suggested. Oh, I think we've gone the wrong way there. That's not looking plausible at the minute. So what if I did a... Not a 10 by 10, but we do a 5 by 5. And then that would lead to a 9 by not so much perfect at the minute. Then we do connections. Go for that maximum bend. And we'll reduce this down a little bit. Now that's quite a harsh bend, isn't it? It looks like a hook. It does look like a little bit of a hook, doesn't it? So let's continue this. Let's go to 15. Actually, I don't think I like it, if I'm being honest with you. We'll match that to there, and then we'll create the... Is it the loop mode? I always forget which is the best one to do it on. Not you. Not curve mode. Is it just standard connection? I think this might be standard connection here, right? Yeah. I could just end it this area like that. Nice and clean. Nice and clean. And then what we do is we bring this... I could bring that to there, where that could then bend in, and then that bend in. So it creates 2 overlaps. But I'm not too sure what to do with this road then. Leads to a very interesting neighborhood. That does lead to... I mean, I can just end like that, like a cul-de-sac. It's not the end of the world. Right, how are these areas now looking? The smog is slowly starting to build up. The jobs are all there. The vehicles are now going back and forth. And I think because we don't really have any proper connections for the highway leading down for this area, they're just going to overpass then and enter in, which kind of makes a lot of sense. It does kind of make a lot of sense right there. I'm not sure if I like this. I'll be real. Not sure if I do. My other options is to run that going straight and have you just connect in like that. But then what is the outcome of this? It could stay as a cul-de-sac. It doesn't really matter. But then do I like the idea of the semicircle? Because I can ultimately just have that area end like that. I've got too many decisions, haven't I? This is the problem I had in the last episode. I spent too much time worrying about the small details. And I didn't need to worry about these small details. Right. Let's see then what we can do next. So I think I'm going to try and see if I can start to build something over here. So I'm going to run these roads going down. And then we'll figure out, what is that there? There seems to be something here. I don't know what there is. Running down to there, we've also got the same conundrum now, is like, what do we do with this area? So I could have had that road come in, and then I loop ski all round. So I could have gone from there to there, increase the size, and then we got a nice little bend going around, and then the same to these and these. Increase the size, but maybe they're a little bit too close. Maybe they're a little bit too close, these ones here. Can I do like a loop? Okay, no. The curve? Yes. Like that. It does feel a little bit too close to that. I could have actually done the same to these as well. But let's just see how this goes. Am I playing too much of all these little fun little conundrums? Potentially. Right, run that down for your solid connection. I do another 40, which leads down here. So have that continue to run. Now, that could be upgraded to a 4-lane road, but because this area is how it is, I think when we unlock this tile, we're going to bring that 4-lane road up and turn that way so it encloses the neighborhoods. I think that's going to be the idea. I don't think that's too close. Now looking at it, I think it's fine. It's only the same distance that is to there. It's just that happens to bend away. So let's now extend the water. And then we'll spend that commercial demand, which will then hopefully grow my residential demand. So commercial demand will fill there and there. We'll get some residential all the way around here then. Bam, bam. Fill all these little nooks and crannies in. And then we'll allow the power to spread over. So if I just run along here and then run directly over to connect, that gives them the power as well. So that spends the commercial demand, which will then trigger all the other demands to then start growing as well. Right. With that now doing what it needs to do, we've got now a bunch of like destinations as like a proper like, you know, residential area. Another one about to be slowly built up as well. And we've got like a proper designated work area, and we have now traffic. That's now when we're starting to build a little bit of a structure. So I reckon we look towards seeing what we can do additionally with this highway, because they're not really utilizing the highway to what I want them to, because it's long-winded. They're going over and then going straight in. If I can maybe create some proper connections down here, they're going to be more likely to use the highway. So I'm thinking, I've got a couple of options. Well, my first option is I've still got to get rid of all of this. I can't delete it, can I? No. What a shame. My first option is I can kind of continue the highway down and it will eventually jump over and continue. And then maybe this indentation here is perfect for me to create a junction to enter this part of the town, the city. Could work out really well. It does mean that we have to then make them go left or right all the time. Or I can create a connection there. Or this highway eventually comes down this way. No, I think running down there is going to be fine. I think if I build it, then it will start to make a little bit of sense. So if I just get rid of all of this, so this is not even a connection anymore. And for the highway, we just drag the road coming down. And then making sure I've got the right spacing. That's how the highway is going to go. So we need a connection. Okay, we do need a connection. I could actually build a Trumpet connection and lead it into there. But I do have more space here, but I'm then forcing them to go left and right, which is not a problem in reality. It's not like the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. So what if I try to attempt... Now, I don't have the luxury of all the mods to build said Trumpet. But let's see what we can do. This should be pretty fun. To see if I can kind of build a Trumpet junction here. Right, I'm going to get rid of this power line right now. And I'm going to reposition it. So I'm just going to drag a route from there to there. For the sake of it, and then that does what I need to do. I know that's not going to have any power, but, you know, I'm trying to get rid of that, you know what I mean? Right, so I'm then going to put this on the ground, and then just do a small little section here. And we're hoping we can form a loop from there to there, which that works out perfect. I can then get rid of you, because that's now on the ground. And... let's see what I can do now. So, I need to create a... Well, I'm going to do it like this. We'll do a 15. We'll do a 15. Oh, we've now a busy town. We've unlocked some new stuff. Some new roads. Okay, that's pretty good. Maybe we could have gone a little bit closer with this. But I'm going to use the Move It tool to bring this in just to pinch it. Granted that this one road here needs to be flipped around. Ooh, okay, let me upgrade that to a 2-lane. Ooh, okay, so that's not going to work. So, if I went from there to there's a 15, from there to there's a 15. Okay, we're back in business. It's because I chose to move all the other stuff. So... I'm going to see if I can now go ahead and just do some bends. It could be a case that I've moved these a bit too far over. I'm just trying to find the perfect balance for where it makes sense. So if that's there, that should be about there. Right, that works really well. And again, we sort out the lane math. So that goes like that. That one's like that. Well, we'll make these stick so you're not changing. That's back and forth there. And that gives us access to this side of the Trumpet. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tasty now, because obviously lane math works great there, but arguably you want it to come into a 4-lane road, which we don't have a 4-lane road connection here. So where's that gone? I want to bring that down to there. So first and foremost, I'm going to sort out the elevations. So it just drops down a little bit. And then we need to create a connection that leads in. So this might look a little bit funky to begin with, but it's not going to be utilizing that much vehicle traffic. So I think for that reason, we can kind of get away with it. So if I did it like that, and then kind of created the bend like this, we're now with the lane connections going to say where you need to go. So you're only for going that way. No, wait, hold on. Yeah, it is. Only for that way, that way, that way. You're only for that way. Now, obviously, we don't have the lane math here, but I don't expect it to be that busy. I think. I don't say that very confidently, do I? No, I don't. Right, from there to there is a 13. From there to there is a 13. We flip this one round. And then we are going to bring the node in a bit. Bring the node in a bit. Let me first upgrade. Okay, we can't upgrade them. Let me undo my move it. And then can I upgrade you now? To our 2-lane roads. Bring you in a bit. Bring you in a bit. Just so I can get the swoop in from either side. And then the swoop in from there. So it might be a case of we need to actually push it up rather than across. So the swooping takes place, which that is not too bad. It's not too bad. And they're already starting to use it as well. So lane math. Lane math. That works out. We've got a nice little trumpet that leads into here. The entry of our park. It could turn out that I bulk this road up to a little bit of a 4-lane. I don't know. It makes more sense to kind of cut through. You never know. I could split this into 2 parks and have a road that goes directly up. We'll just see how the traffic progresses. That's what we'll do. Right, we're 84%. I don't know if this now still continues to go down, even though we don't have a connection. I might just quickly create a terrible connection just for the sake of being able to unload the building. Yeah, we need that road connection, so I'll just keep that there for now. So now we've got 2 connections. They can utilize the highway a little bit more if they need to. We have got problems with water, so let's now just quickly add a second water pump. And it looks like we need a second sewage pump. And like I mentioned previously, we're always going to have problems with traffic around here. We were always going to have it. Now, we can help it a little bit by just getting rid of traffic lights to create free flowiness, because that's pretty much set up to what it needs to do. That might just be enough. I don't know. I'm not too sure, but we could kind of play around with little bits and bobs. I don't want to do too much because we're not like destined to fix it all just yet. Where that's just straight on road. Just so you know what lane you need to be in case you want to continue. And maybe having like an asymmetrical road so you can kind of like filter them a little bit better would be a good idea. But at the same time, exports, train lines would be our friend as well. We need to think about that next episode. I was hoping to get it in today, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. That will be our friend next episode as well. So we got to take it easy, boys. We got to take it easy right now. So once this little bit of backlog has got through and it's back to being normal free-flowingness, we'll see how that changes. We can play around with speed limits. So where this is a 50 right now and that's a 40, I could change these to a 30 just to kind of make that road a little bit slower. So 30s just in and around, because it might entice people to continue, because going through there is a lot slower. Either way, we've cleared that little bit of backlog. We still have traffic lights here, which I'm going to keep for a moment. And it's nice to see vehicles actually now driving down here more frequently. Granted, it's in a bit of an awkward state, but there's always a way in which I can slap a road through the middle, and that becomes quite a vital route then. It depends what I want to do with the park. I might split the park. I might split the park and have it kind of bend round and have a secondary park that goes this way round. That kind of feeds through. So there's always options. There's always options. But that's not too bad then. We've got a proper highway connection right now with a nice little Trumpet. We've got a nice little overpass connection, which accesses 2 new areas we have with our industry, which we could, again, continue to add a little bit more zoning. There is like a certain point where there is too much zoning in an area, and that's what we got to be careful of. So maybe that will then entice us to build another highway connection. But once we get cargo trains on the go, there would be less vehicles driving around, because they'll just go to the train station instead. So that's something we also have to think about at the same time. Right, a little bit more zoning thrown in. Very good. We do have more commercial needs. So I might just kind of... If I treated this as your connection there, can I do a 40? No, not quite. I was going to do my next little section. But that's fine. We can see where it's all running anyway. And that gives us a lot more room for maneuvers. Not bad. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I'm already slightly impressed. Already slightly impressed. Right, I think we'll end it here. It's a nice addition we've now got underway. It's starting to look a little bit cleaner, and I'm not doing too many grids. Well, I haven't done many grids this episode, so it's nice to just come away from the grid format that we would normally do. Landfill sites only emptied 20%, so another 80% before we can delete it. Next episode, we'll look at incorporating the train station in for some cargo. That will work really well for us in terms of importing and exporting those goods. Where we put that station, I'm not too sure just yet. We'll hopefully get rid of all of this, but on this side, we can do some agricultural, as there's farming availability over there. And then once we got all that set up, we could probably start to look at doing some forms of public transit. Because all of a sudden, we've got people living over here need to get to work. Maybe we set up some sweet little bus routes. Who knows? Who knows? But there's plans here and everywhere. It's getting quite exciting. And we'll see how this will all unfold. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, please smash that like button down below. If you want to see more of FoolsTown, make sure you subscribe so you get notified when more episodes do come out. But until next time, I'll see you all soon. So, goodbye.